Guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's episode, we're back on a Discovery 3, solving that age-old problem of a low coolant level. So it's been a while, but this is one of the guys' vehicles here, and it's got that age-old problem where it's saying that it's got a low coolant level, but it hasn't, obviously. We've been keeping an eye on it and it's not losing any coolant. It's the sensor that's at fault in the expansion tank. Now, to replace the coolant sensor, you need to take the expansion tank out. And to be fair, they're so inexpensive to buy a new unit with a sensor attached to it. It just makes more sense to replace the whole lot. So that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be taking the old expansion tank out and actually fitting a new OEM version, which has got the sensor included in the unit when you buy it. And we're going to be putting a new cap on the top as well. So it should, I hope, be a fairly easy job. There's a couple of tools I'm going to need. I've got some clamps just to try and minimize the amount of coolant that we lose. And I'm hoping I can get the whole job done by removing just this headlight. I think this is probably 90% of Discovery 3 owners will have experienced this problem with low coolant level. And it's just irritating because if there was a problem with your coolant and you were losing coolant and the engine was potentially going to overheat, you'd be so used to that warning that it's just going to cause a catastrophic problem, so you're just not going to pay any attention to the warning light. So it is probably quite an important thing to do, is get it fixed. It's going to be under 100 quid to do the whole job. So let's see how easy it is and whether you can do it yourselves at home. Pretty simple. This headlamp does come out with just 2 tabs that you lift up, but we've got to get the grill off first. That's simple in itself. We've just got these 4 tabs at the top here, and you should have 2 more down here as well. This is an aftermarket grill, but hopefully it's going to have the same tabs on it. Can't even get underneath. Don't like this. Shame, because the grill was always one of the things that Land Rover got perfectly correct in how easy it was to remove, and now we're working on an aftermarket solution. There we go. Oh, what a joke. Right, so and we don't sell these, but you can see here, look, it's got a clip just in there, so that springs up. So obviously it's going to go in, no problem at all, but getting it out, you can't get your hand in there, you can't get your hand in there, or in there, so you need, it's just a bit of a nightmare. So if you're going to buy one of these aftermarket grills, just be conscious of the fact that they are not a direct replacement. Anyway, enough said about that grill because we don't even do it, but that's a pain. This is the other pull tab that I mentioned. So we've got one here and we've got one at the top here. They just lift up. Now they can be a little bit stiff. So what I'm going to do for Jez, whose car this is, regardless of whether it needs it or not, just going to put a little bit of penetrating fluid in there, just because I know next time, if they are difficult to get off, next time it'll be easier. Here we go. Okay, don't go up too high because there's a little aperture, there's a sweet spot. Okay, we'll just release the connector. There we go, pretty simple. Okay, so we can see our expansion tank here. We've got filler for the screen wash. We're going to have to move that out of the way. A couple of connectors we don't want to get soaked in water here. And what I'm going to do is actually look at the new unit just to see where the connections all are. So if you go to the back here, you can see we've got 2 bolts to remove there. We'll take this filler neck off, and then it slides in here to the reservoir housing. We've got the right tool to remove that, and then we shouldn't lose too much coolant from the top. It's just the bottom one that I'm worried about, but we'll play that by ear. So I've got some special clamps for that. It's a bit weird putting some lube on a spring clip there on a hose, but what I don't want is I don't want it to have stuck to that hose. So if I can just get it to free off, that's fine. Then I need to put some on those bolts down there, let them all soak in, and also I'm going to put some in here so it will slide out of that channel easier. Anything to make my job a little bit easier. So we'll remove the filler tube for the washer. I don't think we have to get rid of it completely. We'll just move it out of the way slightly, make sure it's not going against anything hot. The car's been stood for a while, so it shouldn't be hot at all. So from Amazon, I just got some cheap clamps, but these should He should do the job. There we go. And then again, Amazon, I think this is about £6, just to take this off here. There we go. So like I said, we're going to lose a little bit of coolant out of the top. Give that a little prise that off. Yeah. Okay, not too bad, not the end of the world. Okay, that should stop that running out now. Now, we're not sponsored by Ryobi, but if you haven't got one of these yet, it's a game changer for your mechanical duties. £100, honestly, saved me so much trouble. Right, we've got our 2 bolts out. Okay, it's just a lift out, right. So I'm just trying to move, there's a little location piece there. If I can just move it that way enough to get it clear. There we are. So now I've got access to the switch. We are clamped at the bottom there, and you can just see, just here we've got another one of the spring clips, so that needs to come off there. That's when we're going to lose some of our coolant. I'll try and block it as soon as I get it off, and then if possible we'll take the whole expansion tank out full. Right, I'm going to put my zip tie on the bottom here ready, because I'm going to do the same thing as I did on the top with the thumb from my gloves, but that's on there so I can pull that tight hopefully over after I've got it off. Now I'm going to lose some coolant, obviously. I've got a tray, but the least amount we can lose the better really, so that's quite a big clip. God blimey. Oh, brilliant. So actually tilted on its side, that's not dropped any. The hose clamp is working. Let's just get this miniature condom over the end. So if we twist it slightly, there we go. Oh, split me, Johnny. Right, here is our expansion tank that we're removing. So you can see we've got the sensor at the bottom here, and what I've done is, it worked-ish, but you can see we're just going to lose a little bit. So basically, that is your lower point. You can see what we've done there just to try and prevent any of that escaping. Clamping point there, so that's the mounting point at the front near the grill. This is the sliding point into the reservoir for the power steering, and that's where we took our 2 bolts out of. So hopefully that kind of all makes sense. So it sits in the vehicle like that. So let's get our new one and drop it in. So here's a little locating piece just here for the bottom of the tank to drop into there. We've got our 2 fixing points at the top here. We've then got it to slide in to our expansion tank there. Now we've got our clamp, as you can see, on our hose there. So we're all pretty much good to go. Here's our connector. I've just put some contact cleaner on that. I'm going to give that a clean before we reconnect. So what we're going to do is when we actually drop our new tank in, I'm going to connect this hose to it first. And before I release the clamp, I'll fill the tank with what we've got in the old expansion tank. And then that will obviously allow us to remove this, and we're only going to lose a little bit of air that's trapped in here. That'll bubble up to the top, and hopefully the system won't suffer from having any airlocks. So this is our nice new unit. Now, unless you're on a really, really tight budget, I wouldn't entertain going for the aftermarket version. I'd go for an OEM, which is what this is. It's not genuine, but it's an OEM, so it's to the original spec. It's about, depending on where in the world you are, from us, it's about £70, and it does come with the sensor all pre-installed and ready, so it's a much easier fit for you. It doesn't come with a cap, so you have to use your old cap or fit a new one. But yeah, it's all there, and it looks like it should just drop straight in, so let's give it a go. I think if we just drop it in sideways and then twist it, we should be good. Might require a bit of Jenga. There we go. That's that bit in there. It's feeling good so far. Okay, so here's where we're at. We've got the pipe at the bottom just into the pipe, so that's holding a bit of a seal. And what I want to do now is, before I then push it into place onto that hose and clamp it on, I'm going to put some fluid in here, otherwise it's just going to fill and drop. So it's got fluid in there, it's holding, so what I've got to do now is very carefully release this hose clamp, like that. There, got it. Okay, so our sensor is down the bottom here. There we go, in. Expansion tank, power steering's all slotted in nicely. So we should be able to put our filler neck back in there. Right, so we've got our range, cold fill range. We're a little bit high, but I think that's because we've still got some air in there. So we'll get it started up before we put the cap back on. Now, Jez has said the cap that he wants to put on is the OEM one, and that'll be in tomorrow. So we're going to put the old cap on for now. Right, so I can see the coolant flowing round. So it's flowing as it should be. That's getting nice and warm. The only thing I need to make sure is when it gets up to pressure, it's not going to burst any of the pipes off that I've put on. So I do need to let it get up to full temperature. Oh, it's a dirty job. Right, well, that all seems to have worked fine. There's no leaks coming underneath the car. The coolant temperature's now come up a little bit, so I'm happy with all that. It's all working as it should. And it was really nice to be working back on a Discovery 3. I really miss mine. So if the guy who bought mine is watching this, then you're a lucky man. Well, I hope you are. I hope it's being good for you, because I do miss that truck. So maybe it's time I thought about getting another one. But anyway, it was fun working on Jez's Discovery 3. There'll be a few more jobs as well that I'm going to do on his truck as well, because I just really enjoy it, and I think they're a great Land Rover. So if you've enjoyed it, please do give me a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe for more Discovery 3 and Defender content, and I'll catch you on the next one.